Hi, Jerry, Esther, and Abraham. What I want to talk about today is related to my business.
When you talk about your business, do you think it will activate a vibration that will serve your business?
I'm hoping so.
Otherwise, we could talk about something else.
I just want to give you a brief history of myself and my business, and I'm trying to tell a story real quick. Okay, I started my business back in 1997, and by 1999, I was able to leave my full-time job. I was doing pretty good. And by year 2000, I had generated, in 18 months, I had generated $1.7 million in business. And then from that point, things just dropped out. And things just started going bad. I'm still in business. I'm not doing as good as I was. What I want to do is revive my business. And I need to know how can I do that. I've attracted and some bad people who help, hurt my business, and some situations that wasn't in agreement with my business. I just need to know, what do I need to do to get back to that vibration that I was back in year 2000?
Well, you have some options. You can reach with your memory into the best times of your business and just think about those times, which causes that to be the dominant part of your vibration. As you told your story to us, you told us about good times and bad times. And in the virtual reality we are teaching you, only talk about good times. In other words, you don't feel any urge to face reality or tell it like it is. You selectively sift and only tell the parts that activate the vibration that would cause the attraction of more parts like that. An interesting thing happens because most of you going into a business or going into a relationship or going into anything have not really heard a lot about vibrations. You're not really aware of your own vibration. You're sort of a mixture of many vibrations, and sometimes your optimism vibration is more powerful than your pessimism vibration. Sometimes your hopeful vibration is more powerful than your not trusting vibration. In other words, sometimes the mixture of vibrations that you have accumulated has a more allowing part that is dominant than not. And then sometimes, as your business gets bigger and the stakes feel higher and the risks feel greater, then sometimes without even knowing it, you activate this worrisome vibration that goes something like, oh, I've come so far and I sure hope this lasts. And then you attract someone not even knowing that you have, that is somebody that's a little worrisome in nature, and then you give them your attention, and then you activate that part of your vibration a little more until just as it tipped one way to be productive for you, it tips the other way to be less productive for you.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And so it's a very common thing. As we watch people building their empires, what we've noticed, without exception, is that the majority of the future well-being that comes to them comes while the business is still in the planning stages. Because while it's in the planning, dreaming, hoping, what someday will be stages, your vibration relative to that subject is usually wide open and pure. But then as the business becomes a reality, and you have staff, and you have products, and you have people, and you have payroll, then you have things that you can focus upon that causes an activation of a vibration that, rather than keeping it coming, sometimes shuts it down. And so you have a very good question. What can I do to revive it to its best time? And we say, if you could remember what kinds of things you were thinking and feeling while it was coming on strong, you could just do that again. Or you could say, well, I can't really remember that without activating something else, so I think I'll start fresh. And then you just start virtual realitying it back into the good feeling place that you want it to be. All day today we've been talking about virtual realities, and we know you've been hearing. And we've been saying that you don't even have to be on the subject of your desire. You can be on any good feeling subject, and you can be in the place of allowing your desire. And the reason for that is because in the creative process there are 3 steps. The first step is ask. That's your part. Your contrast helps you to do that. You're asking extra loud these days about this especially. The second part is not your work. That's the answering, and source energy does that part. And then the third part is your part again, and the most important part, and the part that these seminars are really about. You must get in the allowing mode of what you've been asking for. The most important thing to realize about these 3 steps is that step 1 and step 3 are not the same step. In other words, contrast causes you to ask. But usually, when you are evaluating contrast, you are not in the receiving mode. And that's what trips so many people up. They're asking, praying, wanting, hoping, speaking about what they want, but they are so aware that what they want isn't happening, that almost all the time that they are asking, they are in this vibrational awareness that it isn't happening. So it's sort of like opening and closing the door all at the same time. It's like saying, let it in, don't let it in, let it in, don't let it in, I want this, I'm not letting it in, I want this, I'm not letting it in. And so that's why this virtual reality, we're hitting it so hard these days, because virtual reality is about training yourself into the receiving mode. The universe knows what you want. You certainly deserve it. It is being given to you. You've just got to find a way to let it in.
So what you're saying is that if my goal is to build my company into, let's say, like a $100 million a year company, and I know there are other companies in this area that does that in my industry. And for me, in order for me to do that, don't look at the goal, but just make sure that I'm feeling good all the time. You said that the universe knows what I want.
Well, that's a perfect question. If this is something that you don't think about that much, then we would encourage you to set some goals and really begin focusing upon what you want from a place of letting it in. In other words, let's put it to you this way. If you don't think about something very much, then what your vibration pattern about it has been really isn't a big issue. So you could just begin thinking thoughts about it and choosing positive thoughts relatively easily. That's sort of what happened in the beginning of this business.
Yeah.
But once you've developed some patterns that are negative or worrisome, now whenever you think about the subject of this business, you're likely to activate those vibrations first. And it's harder to overcome the negatively activated vibration than it is to just start with a pure vibration. And so that's why on all of the things that we've been talking about here today, we have noticed that it would be easier for each of them just to leave that subject aside altogether for a little while and just practice some allowing, receiving mode vibrations. There is a tendency from the human standpoint to believe that you have to stay doggedly focused upon what you want in order to achieve the success that you're reaching for. And that is not accurate. You just can't focus vibrationally opposite. So you could say, and it would be accurate, I've done all the wanting that I ever need to do about this, now I just need to chill out and let it be. And that would be a really accurate state of being. And that wouldn't mean that you wouldn't take steps or that you wouldn't be involved or that you wouldn't perform action, because you'll be inspired to all kinds of action. It's fun to grow a company, and it's fun to be involved in it. But we would, at least at first, let our visualizations just be happy visualizations off the subject until we had reacquainted ourselves and reactivated within us a dominant vibration of well-being that allows what you're wanting to flow to you easily.
And how you know when you've got that dominant vibration, you're feeling good all the time?
You feel good most of the time. In other words, you mostly feel good. If people say, how are you? And you say, great, you mean it. When you think about yesterday, you think about what a good day it was. When the day comes to an end and you're sort of settling in, your attitude is, this was a really good day. This was a good day. You feel fresh and free and clear. The other feels like hard work and struggle and pressure. When you think about your business and you think about where it is right now, do you feel happy or sad?
Sad.
That was easy, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When you think about your long-term success relative to finances, do you feel more optimistic or pessimistic?
Optimistic.
Yeah. So that's where you want to go. Never mind about facing reality. Never mind about telling it like it is. Tell it however you need to tell it to put yourself in an active vibration that lets in what you want. We see it in all phases of people's lives, but especially relative to success that they are charting in goals. Very often, people will have great success in the beginning, and then it will begin to peter out. And they can't figure out why, because it feels to them like they're doing the same thing. And we say, you may be doing the same thing, but you're not feeling the same way about what you're doing. At first, you felt hopeful, you felt optimistic, you had a sort of attitude that you were willing to do whatever it took. In other words, you were open and free. It was a life-giving experience. And then after a while it started to feel more like a grind, or you started to feel more competition, or you started to worry about some aspect of it, and it stopped being as much fun. And so you want to be in that leading edge, stage one place of allowing things to expand, and you do that by just insisting on feeling good. So if somebody tries to guide you to thoughts that don't feel so good, you sort of stubbornly don't go there. In other words, you don't talk about anything that doesn't feel comfortable. And you can do that by saying to yourself, practicing things like, well, I'll think about that later. Or, I don't have to think about that right now. Right now, I choose to think about this. We want so much. We'd like to zap you all with this determination that you just want to feel so good that you're just not willing to ponder any thought that doesn't feel good. You've known people like that who just stubbornly, and not only have you known them, but if you could get to know the most successful people in all fields, you would discover from them they won't go there. You can't drag them off into pessimistic, negative thought. Not during the time that they are expanding. Sometimes later on, once they've had lots of success and they've felt the jealousy of a lot of people who have not had the same success, sometimes they'll begin telling you about how hard their struggle was on the way. But we promise you, they did not have a strong, active struggle in their vibration, or they would not have achieved what they've achieved. Now they're making it up just to make you feel better.
Yeah. I think I was surrounding myself with people who seen his success and would tell me stories about, you know, you got to look out because the employees this, and so I'm always looking at the money. You know, I'm seeing the money coming in, I'm seeing it leaving, and I started feeling overwhelmed by that, and I think that's when things started sliding down.
Not only that, but when you start worrying about things like that, it gets active in your vibration, and then those around you, whether they are doing anything with your money or not, it activates that within them and makes them feel defensive. Then their defensiveness activates more reason for you to worry, and your more worry activates more reason for them to feel defensive, till you've got this whole different thing going on than all of you came together to experience to begin with, you see. And somebody should do something about it.
Yeah.
And
I am.
And you are the one who will. In other words, in the same way that it is your energy that brought the whole thing into being, in other words, for you, it is about your vibration. You're the one that keeps it going. And I want to say to you, it's easier bringing it back than it was getting it started, because you now have the success pattern that you can focus upon. You also have a slow down pattern that you could focus upon if you were unwise. That's what happens with people that are in situations where you are. You have a very clear option of remembering when it was expanding or remembering when it was declining.
Yeah.
And our only question to you is, which feels better? And if you will trust that the one that feels better is the one that will lead you to more good stuff, then you'll know what to do every thought along the way. It will not be a long time in turning around, because you have never lost any momentum. Ooh, we love telling you that. You've never lost any momentum. Can you hear the power of that? You've never lost any momentum. In fact, the momentum is more now. Ooh, we love telling you this. The momentum is more now than it would have been. Oh, we've got to tell you this. This is the best thing. This is the reason you've come here. This is what we bring to you. The slowdown will be the best thing that ever happened to you, because it caused a focusing of desire that will take you into places that you did not have access to before. And now, as you easily relax back in to your knowledge of well-being, your company will reach those marks because of your newfound asking that would not have been there without the other. This is a classic example of the way contrast serves.
Because I told myself I was just going to take some time off and just visualize all day long and say affirmations and just do that. You know,
Not a
just
bad
take
idea.
time off and not worry about the business and
not a bad idea
take
at all.
vacation and just.
You don't have to take time off and just visualize. You can take time off and do a lot of things and do some visualizing. In other words, we've noticed that 30-second visualizations work the best. Get in, feel good, get out.